cut of the aluminum cylinder. Here goes. And ready, set, go. Cutter tool inside the bore. It's opening up the bore right now 25 thousandths of an inch. And what I'm going to do is bore it until I get to the size of the sleeve and press the sleeve in. It's the process. See some of the shavings coming out the bottom. Pretty cool. See, getting to the end of the second cut, and it automatically cuts off when it gets deep enough. And if I can raise the boring bar up, hopefully you can see how the cylinder looks. Some of that discoloration and stuff, but that's okay. And you can see a little lip at the bottom. I'm going to cut a lip into the bottom of the bore so that the sleeve can rest on that lip. It'll shoulder. In other words, when it's pressed all the way in, it'll sit on that bottom lip. It'll give it a lot of strength and keep it from moving, you know, once this motor's all together and running and everything. So yeah, that's how it's looking so far. Again, this is that's all the metal that's come out of the block so far, and that's just the second cut on the first cylinder. So there's a lot more yet to come out, but anyways, we'll see how it looks in a little bit. All right, still cutting the Honda, the H22 Honda Prelude motor, and here's just a list of all the different cuts I'm making. So you can see this is a pretty extensive job to bore the cylinders to the appropriate size for the sleeve to actually fit. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different passes of the machine. Each pass takes about 3 to 4 minutes. Here we are, still boring. You know, so it's a bit of a process. Takes a lot of time, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Right now, as it sits, I have 2 sleeves completely bored, and then the actual sleeve pressed in, so you can kind of see it sticking. Hopefully, you can see it sticking up above the deck, and that's because they're installed. I'm working on my third one right now. Same process. Bore the hole and leave a shoulder at the bottom, and then once I get to the right size, I'll press this one in, and I'll show you that process as well. It's pretty straightforward, but I'll show you how that looks too. But yeah, so a lot of material coming out of this block. That's all aluminum from the Honda. There it is. It just finished that pass, so let me draw it up out of the cylinder. And there she is, looking pretty good. I've only have, I think, 2 more passes to make on this cylinder, so you can see that ledge at the bottom is becoming pretty defined. It's a pretty heavy ledge down there. Anyways, that's the idea. So a couple more passes and then we'll press this sleeve in, okay? Alright, so we're at the stage of installing sleeve. I wanted to kind of show you what the sleeve is, by the way. So these are milling the cylinder sleeves. That's the part number. For this particular sleeve, the bore size on it is like 3-inch 400-ish is what they sell this for. So anyways, what you do is you basically bore the hole in the block to the outside diameter of the sleeve, and then you can press it in. You see the little ledge I left at the bottom? That's the whole idea, is it presses against that ledge. And then once it's in, you can trim the top off to the right height, and then bore the cylinder back out to the right diameter for the piston to fit. So anyways, sleeve looks really nice. They're cast iron. They will do the job quite well. Beautiful sleeve. So what I did was I went ahead and chamfered the end of the sleeve. So I just put a slight bevel on that end to help it align in the hole so that, you know, it doesn't gouge or scrape or anything like that. I also go ahead and put a little bit of Loctite on the sleeve itself, just for a little extra insurance, so that it doesn't come loose during any of its operation. There is about 4/1000ths of an inch press fit here, meaning the aluminum bore that's right there is 4/1000ths tighter than the sleeve itself, which is pretty tight. But you need that because it's aluminum, and aluminum tends to expand a good bit when it gets hot. I don't want the sleeve ever coming loose. The sleeve needs to stay positioned right there. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and put the Loctite on the sleeve, get it coated up nice, and then get it started in there, and then I'll show you the process of installing a sleeve. Alright, be right back. So I got the bottom of the sleeve coated in Loctite, red Loctite. And so that's going to happen as it presses into the hole. Obviously the Loctite's going to kind of smear up the side of the sleeve, and it's going to apply it evenly throughout the press. So I want to get the sleeve in there nice and straight. Don't want it to get crooked and possibly damage the block or the sleeve. And then what we're going to do is take this big giant chunk of aluminum right here and use this as a something to press against. So I've got that sitting right on top of the sleeve, and then I'm going to use a hammer to get it started. The idea is the hammer will allow it to move until the sleeve is fully seated in the bore. Then once it's fully seated, I'm going to go over to my press and press it in using a traditional hydraulic press. If you look, there is a line of red Loctite right there. It's like an inch and a half, 2 inches up the sleeve, and the idea behind that is it gives me a reference point. I can see how far the thing has traveled in. So I'm going to use my hammer to tap this sleeve down until basically that line lines up. Let me see if I can move my camera to a place where you can see what's up. Maybe set up here, and that way I can go ahead and hammer it in. Gently tapping the sleeve down to make sure that it's in there nice and straight. It's not crooked or anything. Looks pretty good. Tap it. A little bit over there. It's moving every time, so that's a good sign. We're looking pretty good. We're about halfway to my line that I made. I'm going to go a little bit more with this and then move to the press. Okay, so I'm almost to my line. Good enough where I know that the sleeve is straight in the bore, and let me move the block over to the press and I'll show you. Okay, so we're set up over here in my press. I'm going to position the block right underneath the hydraulic press head right there, and I'm using this aluminum ring to spread the load evenly over the sleeve that we're pressing in. And then I have a spacer block right here. It's going to make up the difference. Space. And just basically press it into place. I like using a manual press like this, not an electric or hydraulic over air, you know, an automatic press, because it allows me to feel how much pull I have on the sleeve, feel it move, so I can tell if something's going wrong. So it's moving, it's definitely tight. Obviously, the deeper it goes, the tighter it's going to get because there's more surface area that's contacting. stop for a second, back up, release the pressure. The reason why I do that is if for some reason if this press was pressing sideways or crooked, it'd be continuing to deliver force in that kind of crooked direction. So by releasing it and starting over a couple of times, you're basically resetting your starting over as far as the direction of force that you're pressing. So it just keeps from breaking a sleeve by pushing it sideways instead of straight. Here we go. It's definitely tighter. But it's going, you can tell that it's going. Okay, release the pressure. I'm gonna check, make sure everything looks good. There's no shavings or anything like that in the bottom of the sleeve, so I'm not eating into the aluminum. All right, keep going. Fully on the sleeve. I'm not quite on the sleeve in the back, so I'm going to reposition. There we go. Okay. Almost there. Release it one more time. Should feel its shoulder pretty soon. The shouldering, you'll notice it just gets hard and it won't push any deeper. That's what I'm after. I think I might be there already. Alright, that is nice and solid. So that should be it. That should be all the way down. What I'll do is I'll release the pressure, pull the block out, just verify that it's all the way against the shoulder, and you'll be able to see if that, if the sleeve is all the way down against the step in the shoulder. Let's take a look at that. All right, so there's the inside. The sleeve just pressed in, and you can see that the sleeve is fully seated against that shoulder. So we're really solid, looks amazing. That's all 4 of them. That is in. So now it's just a matter of trimming the tops of the sleeves down, flush, boring and honing each of the sleeves to fit the pistons that we're using, and then milling the top of the deck to get it nice and flat again. Because remember, that was the whole problem of this motor to begin with, is it had about 8 thousandths warpage. It was kind of dipped in the middle about 8 thousandths of an inch. So anywho, all right, we're looking good. Next step is the boring machine.